Hello and welcome to another episode of Attacking Third, a CBS Sports soccer podcast. I'm Sandra Herrera, lead NWSL writer for CBS Sports. Joined today, as always, by my colleague and co-host Lisa Roman, NWSL analyst and broadcaster for CBS Sports. On today's episode, we have a special interview episode for the NWSL playoffs ahead of the semifinals. So please subscribe to us on YouTube to never miss out whenever we go live. Today, we are joined by OL Reign and United States Women's National Team defender and 2022 NWSL Defender of the Year nominee, Sofia Huerta. Welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you so much. What an intro.
Happy
Wow.
to hype you up. Happy to had to let the people know about you. So
I appreciate you.
Yeah, we like to gas up our guests, especially our players' guests, give them all the accolades we can.
Yeah, if people don't know, now they know. So I'm just so happy, that you're joining us here on the show. It's first for you on Attacking Third. Congratulations are in order. Congrats on making it to another semifinal with OL Reign. 2022 NWSL Shield winners. That is how the team punched their ticket to the playoffs. What is the energy around the team right now as they head to another semifinal?
The energy is really great. I think that everyone knows going into playoffs, you want to feel good. You want to feel like you're meshing well, you're playing well individually, but also collectively. And so I think the end of our season clearly went pretty well. I think at one point, we were projected to only get 6 points with I think 7 or something games left. And we obviously got way more points than that. And for the first time in my career, won the Shield, which was something that, like I said, I've never done before and was really amazing. And so I think everyone's just excited. I mean, it's so, it's so rewarding to play a whole season and then for things to come together at the end. And we can only hope that they'll really come together at the very, very, very end. So everyone's feeling good. I think getting a bye was really important for our team with all the internationals we have. But at the same time, there comes anxiety with that a little bit because we're kind of just sitting and waiting for this crucial game that's coming up on the 23rd. But the positives are that it's at home. We're selling a lot of tickets. And I think to answer your question, the energy is very good.
Thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, good energy. Watching y'all go out and get that win against Orlando Pride, essentially clinching the Shield. Hearing Jess Fishlock talk about the Shield, this is like her third with the club. And that's no easy feat. And I love the way that she presented that sort of in post-game comments and how winning the regular season, winning the league is such a hard thing to do. What's the sense of like accomplishment in sort of being part of a franchise that has at this point now won their third Shield?
Yeah, well, I think it's the hardest thing to do. I think with the amount of times that the internationals were gone and, just quite frankly, the schedule that we're given every year, it's very hard to win a lot of games in this league. As we know, it's really competitive across the board. So it's the hardest thing to do. And I think as the years go on, everyone's acknowledging that a little bit more. I think now that I watch a lot more EPL, I realize it's the coolest thing to do. I mean, we won the league. That's amazing. It's something that we're so proud of. But of course, we want to win the championship as well. It's something that's obviously never been done before, winning the league and also winning the NWSL championship. So that would be great to be the first to do that. But I think it means so much, especially to the veteran players as well. I was making a joke with one of my friends the other day. I'm like, I've lost in the semifinal way too many times. It can't happen again. I just gotta, we gotta go out there. We have to win. And that day specifically where we were watching Portland and Gotham play, I mean, that was crazy. It was just such a crazy game. Obviously I don't think a lot of people predicted that would be the outcome and just like the drama,
Yeah.
up 1-0 tie, then it's 3-1 and then it's 3-2, then it's 3-3. It's like no one predicted that. And so we were obviously keeping tabs on the game going into our game. And so once, Gotham secured that tie and we were able to really control our own faith. I mean, the energy was so high and crazy, but I've watched Jess's post game interview and, it gave me goosebumps. Like It's true, exactly what she said. This is such an amazing club, and like any other club has been through its ups and downs. And so the most important thing is to get this club back to where they want to be, which is like always on the top, always in playoff contention, and always like someone who can win the NWSL championship. So that's always the goal.
So if you touched on it a little bit in that OL Reign had ups and downs this season, and there was a point in the season where you guys weren't projected to make the playoffs, to win the Shield, to go as far as you were, but there was a switch and there was a change in this team and the product you were putting out onto the pitch. Do you remember that switch? Do you know a moment or a sequence of games or moments in training where the team kind of started clicking together and putting all the pieces together?
Yeah, for sure. I think just from what I believe, we always produced. We just sometimes didn't score. Like we always produced these like goal scoring opportunities. And unfortunately, throughout a lot of the season, we were not capitalizing on them. That was obviously a conversation we were having in the locker room often, because we were playing some really good soccer, but sometimes we weren't rewarded for it. And then kind of what I touched up on earlier, there was a statistic that someone put out like on Twitter that was like, oh, OL Reign, based off of how they've done like in the season, they're only projected 6 points the rest of the season. And we had like a third of the season left. And I think we all kind of looked at each other as a group and we were like, wait, people actually think we're only going to get 6 points? Like, no, and I think we all at that moment were like, okay, now it's like the final third of the season. There's no more like, hey, we'll score next game. Like now we need to capitalize on these opportunities, and, we need to get shit done, And so I think we all just came together and realized that. But on top of that, I mean, we have had injuries throughout the season. Pino didn't get, back onto the field until, the season was further along, so we haven't really had the same starting 11, like consistently, especially with international breaks. So anyways, that was the moment. The 6 points that we're projected to get, we were like, no, it's not happening.
I love that you guys saw it online and you made it untrue from that point on. You've touched on it though, the international breaks and the international windows throughout this regular season, but most recently, OL Reign winning the Shield, being at the top of the league. So you earned yourself a bye week through to the semifinal. But before that, there was an international break in which you traveled with the United States women's national team to Europe, taking on 2 friendlies against England and against Spain. A huge moment for the U.S. to travel and play these friendlies. For you particularly, what is something from that time with the national team in Europe that you are hoping to bring back to your OL Reign trainings from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think like in general, the sport, there comes like a lot of pressure, and so when you're like approaching the end of the year, like there's obviously so much on the line. I think that pressure can just increase, and like you can, feel anxiety or feel performance anxiety, whatever that may be for someone. So I actually feel like going to Wembley, I think playing on the national team can always kind of be a little nerve-wracking. But I think going to Wembley, playing in front of like 76,000 fans versus such a good team, a team that's been playing with each other for consistently, and won the Euros, I just feel like nothing is more pressure than that. I just feel like I played in that game. I felt good. Of course we wanted to win. Of course the outcome wasn't exactly what we wanted, but I think like that the pressure I felt on that day will help me going into the postseason with the Reign, because like I feel ready. I feel prepared for any pressure that I'm going to feel. And like I said, there's just so much on the line with these upcoming games, because if you lose, well, see you next season,
Yeah, it's everything's elimination on the line potentially on from here on out. During that international window, going up against 2 top 10 ranked teams is a big opportunity. So for you, what were some of your own like personal goals getting to go up against some top programs in England and in Spain? And are you hopeful to get a chance to maybe build on those against Germany possibly?
Yeah, I mean, I think my personal goal, like always going into camp, is just to like really capitalize on the role that I'm given. So you never really know like what that is going to be. It can be different for everyone, every camp. It's really just not something that you ever really know. So I think understanding what my role was going to be, and then once I knew that, just like doing the best that I could at that role, which obviously going into the England game, I knew I was going to be starting that game. I did have to manage my minutes because I was dealing with a little bit of a hamstring, but then going into the second game, I knew I wasn't going to start that. So then my goal in that game was like, okay, how am I going to be impactful? You know, obviously at that point we were down 1-0. And so can I come in and change the game? Obviously that's like kind of what subs are known for, game changers. Like, can you come in and have an impact? So it definitely changes depending on the game, the camp. But my goal in that camp was to just, you know, accept what my role was and to do the best that I can. And yeah, like I said earlier, both outcomes were not what we wished for. But from what I understand, what a lot of the veterans have said about past, just like history with the national team, that this always happens. There's always a couple games where we don't get the result that we want. And then everyone's talking about how, well, is the U.S. women's national team actually prepared, all this stuff. And it's like, you know what, it's probably good to face some adversity. And, you know, really, we are very lucky to be able to face Germany coming up in the next month to almost have a little bit of like a redemption opportunity. And also just, you know, another opportunity to play a really good team.
You've mentioned it a few different times, how it is a high pressure job that you have of being a professional athlete with OL Reign, winning the Shield, going into the playoffs with the United States national team, the #1 team in the world. And there are a lot of anxieties and pressure that kind of surrounds all of that. How do you personally approach those pressures and handle the stress of what is your job, your role in your job every day?
Yeah, I think that's taken a lot of time. You know, it's really, it's easier said than done. And that's something that I experienced when I was younger. And so I feel like it was important for me from the jump to have someone like, you know, life coach who could just help me navigate this career. Because I think it is like a difficult career to navigate and to, you know, be able to perform at your highest level every time is really difficult. And so what can you do to be feeling good going into those games? I think that's like really the number one. You're going to feel pressure regardless, right? Because as high level athletes, we're competitors and we always want to perform our best. But what can you do going into that game to feel prepared and to feel confident? I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's like, what are you doing that fills your cup, makes you feel good? What are you doing film wise, at training, out of training, whatever it is that's going to make you feel good going into that game, just to take the pressure off a little bit and knowing that you did everything you could to prepare for the game. So I think that's pretty important. And then like specifically on game days, I feel like I have a really like strict routine and I try and set myself up where I don't have to really make any decisions that day. It's kind of like know exactly what my routine is going to look like leading up until I have to get into the card of the game.
So many times fans or media or people watching think it's so easy. So thank you for opening up about that, because it is a very difficult profession to be on all the time. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit because you're returning, you're back in Seattle. The NWSL playoffs are here. It's exciting. The quarterfinals last weekend were incredibly exciting to watch. And now OL Reign is going to play Kansas City Current. During the season, both teams split the meetings. So knowing that, how you played the first two times you played against Kansas City, what are some things that you and your team are anticipating against the Current in this semifinal?
Well, you know, I think it's always important, and we always try and, you know, align with this as a team to really just like focus on what we do really well. Obviously Kansas City is a really good team. They have very, very good players. They're really dangerous. They've obviously come into their own, you know, like being at the bottom of the table last year and coming up the table this whole season. Like they're very good, you know, the celebrations are also good. They're a really good team, but I think, you know, the main, idea for us is just, hey, what makes us good and what are we going to do to break them down. Right. So, you know, we're just focusing on what we can do. And, you know, if we do that, then hopefully it all goes well.
Right on. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. You know, end of the regular season and into the postseason typically means that there are some individual awards up for grabs, and the end of the year awards were also recently announced. And you and your teammate Alana Cook are out for Defender of the Year. just wanted to get some of your reactions. What does it mean to you to be nominated?
Oh, well, it's so nice to be nominated. I mean, I think obviously I switched positions mid-season last year, so to be recognized as one of the best defenders in the league means a lot to me. It makes me feel like I've done all the work and done, enough to be recognized. Like, that feels really good. Super proud of Alana as well. She's so good. I mean, I love playing with her both on the national team at the Reign. I feel like I can kind of do whatever because I know she's holding it down back there. So I'm really happy for her. But yeah, it means a lot, and I'm really excited. I think there are some really good nominees, and so if I don't win, no worries. Everyone's really good. But if I won, that'd be crazy. Be crazy.
It's not that crazy. You're nominated. You're a fantastic defender. We'll see. Time will tell. As you look ahead just slightly to the semifinal coming up this weekend, the team is actually in a very similar position this year as they were last year. A top 2 finish, a bye week. But how is this 2022 season and this time feel differently for you and the team?
I think it feels differently for many reasons. One, we won the Shield, so obviously have a lot of confidence there. But I just think last year, it was an interesting year. We had a coaching change. We had players come in mid-season. After mid-season, I changed positions. Like, there was a lot of, missing puzzle pieces last year. And it came together at the end. I just don't think it came together soon enough. And then also integrating the players from Lyon, Sarah, Marjan, and Eugenie, it's just difficult, So I think last year there were just some things that we needed to, refine before we went into the playoffs. I think it might have just been a little too late. Whereas this year, it's like, other than the inconsistent lineups, it's been pretty consistent. We have the same players. We've had Laura all year, and we're at Lumen, right? Like, we're packing it Lumen out. Hopefully, right? We have every day we come in and write on the whiteboard how many tickets we've sold. So, I just think it's a different feel, and it's I think we all feel pretty good.
Nice. So if I wanted to take the time to ask you, we're doing this interview sort of at the end or closing out of Hispanic Heritage Month, and I wanted to take the time to ask you about the month, reflecting on that a little bit, especially in regards to NWSL Reign. Taking the time to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. And quite frankly, it's a little bit something newer that we're seeing across the league. I can remember a time in the league where this month wasn't recognized at all. And now we're starting to see some clubs take a step forward and make that something that they're including within their commemorative theme nights throughout the season. And that includes your club, Reign, as well. So as we're sort of saying goodbye to the 1 month. I know you're proud of your heritage all year round, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to sort of maybe reflect on that. Like, what does it mean for you as a player who's been in this league for so long to sort of finally see something like, Latinx or Hispanic cultures celebrated across the league?
Well, I obviously think it's amazing. I think, like, for me personally, it wasn't, well, and kind of what you said, it's a newer thing. Being Hispanic or being a part of that community wasn't necessarily celebrated always, so it was just kind of something that I didn't really talk about a lot. It wasn't something that I got to explain to anyone my experience or how I felt or how I identified. It just was kind of like, oh yeah, like, my dad's Mexican, whereas now I feel like we're really celebrating the community, and we're really bringing that to light, which is very special because it's amazing to be part of that community. There are so many things I love about being Mexican American, and I'm so proud of, right? And, just personally, my dad, like, he has sacrificed a lot for his family. And it's just something that I grew up seeing, this hard work, this dedication, this selflessness from him, and it's something I'm really proud of. So to be able to do stuff like with Saks, right? I felt so eager and happy to do that because it's something I never really got to be involved with until now, because we are celebrating it. And I think the biggest thing is that, it's a community that is underrepresented. And, especially on the national team, there's only 2 of us who are, part of that community. And so I think being a role model, and, I do believe if you can see it, you can be it, right? So just seeing like Huerta or Sanchez on the back of the US jersey, I think is so important for us to speak out about our community and how we're proud. And really for me, my biggest thing is like, hey, if you're facing adversity, if you work hard, you can do whatever, you're capable of. And so just to be a walking like example of that means a lot to me.
Love that. Love to hear it. So whenever we do these interviews, we always like to close out with a little bit of lighthearted questions or a little bit of fun. So I'm gonna ask you to sort of close things out. You talked about how you have your routine. It's set in place. You don't like to break away from it when you're leading up into a game day. So what we've been asking a lot of the players for these playoff and postseason interviews specifically is about what's going to come potentially after the games take place. So we've chatted a little bit with Lolo Bonta, we chatted a little bit with Kate Delfau. We talked about like, hey, like what is your go-to celebratory thing after a game? Is there like a meal that you have to have? Is there a place that you need to go to? Or is there something that you like to do special for yourself to celebrate a victory?
I mean, I think celebrating a victory, like the best thing about it is celebrating with your team. So like just really quickly after the game, we're all in the locker room and we're just like having fun, singing music, dancing. Like that to me is the funnest, of course. I feel like that kind of goes unsaid. But after that, not really. I have a dog I have to take care of. So it's like rush home, she's been alone for a few hours. I feel so bad. And I take her on a walk, but nothing crazy. I mean, I think obviously if we won the championship, it'd be wild. But the main thing is just getting into that locker room and celebrating with your teammates.
Celebrate with the teammates in the locker room, and then you get home to the dog. I love it.
What's the main song on your playlist this week?
Ooh, I think it's, let me see. Let me just pull up my Spotify really quick. The song I've been listening to a lot is called Last by Burna Boy.
All right. All right. If you want to get in the zone, if you're pulling for oil rain, make sure you listen to Sofia's track this week. Thanks everybody for joining us on Attacking Third. Thank you, Sofia, for joining us here on the show. Congrats on winning the Shield, making it to the postseason. Best of luck. Reminder to everybody, you can catch Sofia Huerta and OL Reign against Kansas City Current in the semifinal on Sunday, October 23rd. And we'll be back with a full weekend preview for Sandra Herrera, Lisa Roman, and Sofia Huerta. This was Attacking Third.